welcome back to the Animeta. We got Bubba, Kuzbento, Avocado Canyon, and me, Ding Dongster, and we're back with a PS5.
Yeah.
Do we have one? You'll never know.
Yeah, specifically me has one.
Shout out to Kuzbento's brother.
It's big.
Yeah, it is
big.
It looks nice
Hey, and white.
Oh!
But like, it's honestly kind of fire. Like, not experiencing load times in games feels so weird. Especially in like not PS5 games, because there's not like transitions made to like kind of hide how low the loading times are.
Yeah.
Because like with like Astrobot, like Astro's World or something, like the loading times are covered because like there's like a transition animation, which I think most games will start doing now for next gen. Like it'll load, but like it'll come up with something to hide the fact that the game is loading. But like for when you play PS4 games, like when I was playing like Horizon Zero Dawn, when there's like load times, he just stuck into a screen and, just goes, and the meter goes up like super fast. It's like you're there. But I do like how backwards compatible like PS5 is with PS4 games.
You gotta check how Final Fantasy VII Remake works on PS5.
I checked out 15, which is the same engine, and it looked really pretty, like really pretty.
I just wonder what the how the loading times are gonna change from Final Fantasy VII Remake to Part 2.
Well, if it fixed 15's loading times, which was like really rough.
7 Remake didn't have loading times. They just had like padding, like going through stuff.
Maybe it'll fix the door. Remember the door that never loaded?
That was just a texture thing. And I don't know if they ever updated it, but I don't know. I'm interested to see if in Part 2 there's gonna be less of the padding in between, for like compensating loading.
I think Part 2 will definitely like have more of those transitions where it's like maybe Cloud will walk through like a door and then it'll like instantly load.
Yeah.
Cause that's how like I feel like that's how most games are gonna get around like not having screens or people are loading.
Yeah.
Or it's like, oh, main protagonist walks through a long hallway and at the end of the hallway the world's thing.
The main protagonist walks into a bar.
Yes.
And it instantly loaded.
Pretty much. Like
PS5.
Morales, when you're in like a factory, you know how in like regular Spider-Man, it would like take you out of the factory and like you would have to go to load time. Like now, like it instantly just like, like you're in the world already, which is interesting.
It looks very nice on like a TV. I
Yeah.
found that like when you start capturing it, which is I'm pretty sure it's like regular 720.
Yeah.
You can tell the difference in quality.
Yeah.
It's very weird.
Like it gets saturated less, which is weird.
It's just the resolution itself.
Yeah, and I don't even have like
Very
a 4K TV. I have an old TV. Like it's still HD, but it's like not 4K. So imagine what like these games would look like with a 4K TV.
It's scary.
Even prettier. I want to invest in one now that I actually have something that uses it. Because before I was like, I'm not gonna get a 4K TV for like literally no reason.
Now.
I mean, I could run my PS5 to my laptop and it would just it would look prettier than on my TV.
Yeah. Honestly, since it is a 4K display TV.
Yeah,
I like the adaptive triggers.
it's
It is
cool.
very nice.
The controllers are very nice. I actually will, spend $60 for that controller.
Oh, it's 70, I think.
I mean, that's still better than paying $60 for the PS4 controllers that broke constantly.
Yeah. I just like all the little references in the PS, like, 5 controller. Like, those little, like, all the bumps you feel are actually, like, triangles and circles. And
Yeah, honestly,
squares.
we could do a retrospective of the PS4 in its lifetime too.
Oh, I definitely think the PS5 did a better start than the PS4.
Oh, yeah.
Way
Well,
from
yes,
the
because
start.
I think
they tried to sell the PS4 way too high.
Sony learned so much from the PS4's lifespan that you can tell, like, the PS5 is a lot more smooth sailing. I mean, granted, like, the PS5 did have that weird issue where, like, you couldn't download certain games. Like, I couldn't download Sackboy. Like, I had to, like, clean my disc, restart my PS5 to factory settings just to download Sackboy.
That's a problem.
Yeah, and, like, apparently there's no, like, update yet, which was kind of annoying because I had to do my system data transfer, like, twice, which it doesn't take long, but it's like 6 hours, so like it's a good portion of
So it's an overnight thing.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing I will say the PS5 has over the PS4 is that you can like play stuff while downloading stuff, and you feel less of like it affect the download time. Like obviously it does, but not to like where PS4 made like something that would make 30 minutes go like to 12 hours. Because the PS5, I could like play Horizon Zero Dawn and like have DMC5 downloading, and it stood at a consistent 30 minutes.
Yeah, that's good.
Which was good.
That's more of a network thing, though, but...
I think it's an incline thing, too, because there are certain things that a PS4 cannot handle.
That's
like,
true.
multiple processes going on.
Yeah. The PS4 is very much meant for just playing one game at a time, and that's kind of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the PS5 seems like it can handle
Well, it wants
multiple
you.
actions.
It incentivizes, like, being like, oh, you don't want to play this game no more? Here, play this game now, instantly get to that game, and you're loading. You're loading in.
Or like multi-windows.
Yeah.
Things opening. I like that. I like. Well, eventually, you know, in 5 years when we all get one, you know, it'll be fine.
It'll be fun because then we could all play games that like require a network. Because then we could play Sackboy's World together because it has online capabilities.
Honestly,
yeah, the destruction game, demolition.
That comes out next month, I think,
I honestly play it.
for PS Plus.
That's
It's fun.
It's
looks-
free.
Yeah, that's tough.
Sony needs to. I don't know. I feel like they need to just restructure the PS Plus model.
I feel like there's more of an incentive to get it now because they added all those games.
I just feel like, granted, Nintendo's online
It's booty.
quality is not great,
It's so
but
bad.
as far as the package deal, price point,
It's good.
they've got it figured out. I feel like everyone needs to take a notch out of their book. You know, like, I don't know. 'Cause granted, every single game has a different server. Like, it's not like Sony owns all the servers. It just allows you to use networks on other servers. So, like, I feel like network access, they should have a cheap option for just purely network access to play online games that is, like, the same price point as, like, Nintendo Online.
Like if you don't want like the game collection
Yeah.
or the free game.
Yeah, just forcing you to buy a higher price point for more content, I think is a pretty lousy business model.
I mean, in my opinion, like the PS Plus games for like the past 4 months haven't really been that good.
And that's the thing, it's just like sometimes you're just gonna get content that you don't want. And it's like, I don't know. I
Like
feel
until
like,
recently where they're like, here's our game library, where I'm like, alright, I'll spend $30 for like 3 months to
Yeah.
get this.
If you want to listen, you want to charge $30 for the year, and I only just get to play online with my friends, I'd take that.
Yeah.
You know, I would take that. But, you know, what is it right now? Like $40 for like 6 months or something like that?
I think 3 months. No, is it? 3 months is like $20. 20.
$25
Yeah.
for 3 months. 1 month is like $15. The whole year I think is like
60.
Yeah.
I just feel like that's just a little much for access to be able to use your internet that you already are paying for. Like,
To play online games
that's
that you
it's a
own.
little it's a little bit of a stretch.
Especially when
you know?
half of them are like on PC.
And listen, let's be real. The sheer amount of traffic you're getting from people playing online, multiply that, if you're only charging $20 for the year or $30 for the year, by the millions of people that are playing your console, you're not losing out.
I mean, you're already paying $70 for a game.
That's what I'm saying. I
And
feel...
if it has network, like if it's purely just network, like Overwatch 2 when it comes out.
I feel like they're suffering from early days Xbox Gold syndrome.
I mean,
It's just
Microsoft
like,
isn't
not
any better
worth
because
it.
they charge the same amount.
Well, that's just what I'm saying. It's just like they kept the price point, but they tried to justify it with, oh, here's more content. But I don't want that content. I don't think they should have an option. Like, you know,
I don't think they will because people will still buy it. You know,
just frustrating.
because sadly you're not in the majority.
But, so, what do you guys think? What are some ways you want to see the new remote used?
I mean, it's gonna be used in the new Horizons game like really well when you put the bow back.
You know, Loki, I would not mind a Scribblenauts.
Ew.
Oh, bring back Scribble.
Ew.
It works so well now because
But it kind of works
you
well
have the
now.
little
The draw
draw
pad.
pad.
That's what I'm saying. Or at least games conceptually like that, where like
Yeah.
you can draw things into existence. A game like that would be pretty neat with using like you can only use the analog sticks and the drop pad. Imagine that.
Hear me out. Hear me out. An Okami, like reboot or sequel, imagine you get the paintbrush, but then you also feel like the vibrations of like, let's say the wind
That's
or
how
the lightning.
it wasn't the
summon.
PS4.
No,
You
not
can use
really.
the touchpad. Yeah.
Oh, they have the touchpad. I'm talking about like with the haptic feedback
Oh yeah.
of this controller. That'd be really cool.
It could like have like restriction or vibration to make it feel like you're actually painting.
That's how Tearaway was. Like Tearaway used the drawing thing to draw stuff.
Just give me a game solely based around drawing stuff into existence, and I'm all in. I'd buy it.
I feel like gun games will benefit from the triggers.
Yeah.
I mean, Cold War already has.
I don't think it would like multiplayer ones will benefit because like then you get into like what's fair, what's not, what guns are good, what guns are not. If some have more tension, blah, blah. I think realistic.
No, how
yeah.
it works is the heavier the gun is, the harder it is to pull the trigger. So it's like if you have a rocket launcher where it's like really slow to raise the weapon, then it'll have more resistance.
But they also
So
do a lot more damage to
it's
balance
not
it out.
game breaking.
I don't know. I just feel like adding more variables to a multiplayer experience never really a good idea. I feel like, but for a single player experience, adding the realism, I think that shooters will definitely benefit from.
I mean, Astro's Playroom, there's like a little gun power up, and every time you shoot it, it's like a Gatling gun, and your controller goes and like vibrates with the controller like
So
continuously.
it adds recoil. Interesting.
Yeah, or like when Ding Dong was playing Astro's Playroom, and he's playing as the monkey, and when you're touching like the little things that move, it would vibrate your controller, so you could feel like you were like on the platform moving. It was weird.
You see, I honestly, Sony would really benefit from just making a line of games based on that. Like, just not just as a tech demo, but like a purchasable game.
I would play a longer
Like
version.
I
of
would,
Astro's
yeah.
Playroom.
Like you just like you lengthen the content. You can charge a full price point.
I mean, the crazy,
Honestly, like
the
I
crazy
wouldn't
thing
be
to
mad.
think is that that game came with the PS5.
Yeah,
I mean, you could say, oh, $500 game, obviously. But like, is cool. It's a good game.
that's what I'm saying. Like I wouldn't like Sony would be smart to like, and it'd be innovative. I will pay the full price point for an innovative game.
Yeah, 'cause there's only like 4 worlds in
You
the
know.
game, so if they added 4 more worlds, it'd be just like a Mario game.
That's what I'm saying. Like, just make stuff based like that. Like, it's a good idea and good design, and granted, like, you probably have to buy a lot of IPs. But I mean, it's Sony.
It's made in house, so they have the
like,
rights. Yeah. They didn't have to pay anybody because hey, you released it under our console, it's ours. That's why they can make all those references and not have to worry.
Yeah, I think they could benefit from that. What other like things can you do with controller?
Just vibrations, like the HD vibrations. Like that's cool.
Vibrations. So you have vibration, you have weight, you have adaptive triggers, you have sound something.
Oh yeah, through the controller.
The motion controls actually work very nicely. A lot
Yeah,
better than the PS4.
PS3.
Oh, I forgot the PS3 had
Started it.
motion controls.
Yeah.
Ew, don't remind me.
Six axis.
Remember Sackboy?
Ugh.
Rocket Head.
Yeah, that was something.
I think the game that used it a lot, or one of them was like Ratchet and Clank.
Ratchet and Clank. Heavenly
yeah.
Sword used it a lot.
In
back when
Astro's
that came out.
Playroom, well, sorry to bring this game up, but it does use a lot of the PS5 stuff. When you aim the bow and arrow, there's a gyro sensor, and it feels really good. It reminded me of Splatoon. Cause like, see, people hate motion controls, but like motion controls in a multiplayer setting, like FPS, they work, and at times they're more like reactive than like the controller.
I think people were just burnt out from the Wii era stuff.
Probably.
But now it's been a while, So
And it's a lot better. The feedback.
If
is
you make it
more
optional,
controlled.
obviously, don't be like motion controls are in our game.
or make games based around the concept.
Yeah, like Tearaway and Astro's Playroom and all those games.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I'm excited to see what this means for the future of like what's like after the Switch gonna be like for like Nintendo, with like knowing that this is like the future. I'm
Yeah.
like that seems really
I
interesting.
mean, you gotta remember it takes them a while to catch up because
I don't know, but
They're
like
always
it'd
like
be
2
awesome,
generations
like a Nintendo based like IP using stuff like this.
I mean they started the HD Rumble thing.
I know. I just like imagine like with all the haptic feedback and the HD rumble and like all this stuff on like a Legend of Zelda game.
Yeah.
I think that'd rock. Like that'd be so cool.
Yeah, because Sony can't trademark that.
Yeah, you can't. It's just good technology. Like,
We have the technology.
but yeah, I'm interested to see how this is all gonna like go into like more basic style games like Demon's Souls. Like, how is this all gonna affect it? Like, I wonder how like it's gonna affect the experience.
I don't think it affects
They
much.
said a lot because they basically had to work the game from the ground up again.
Well, I'm not saying like remake. I'm talking like control-wise. I feel
Control wise?
It'd probably just be like maybe HD Rumble. Because is there
It's
bow and
gonna
arrows
be-
in Demon's Souls?
Yeah, there's bow and arrows, there's magic. You
So it's
have
probably on
magic, you have pyromancy, you have faith spells, you have healing and all that stuff.
Mm.
You also have like like grenades, you have throwing knives and such. You have the Estus flask, that's probably gonna vibrate and stuff. So you're gonna have adaptive triggers, especially for great swords and stuff, where it's gonna be heavier and hitting things. They also said they changed animations, so animations might also play with how the triggers affect, especially with spears, because they made spears like super fast and stuff now, and they gave everything just feels different now. It's not gonna feel like any other sort of Dark Souls or Bloodborne game where every weapon is like slash slash slash. Now everything has its own moveset and its own personality, with its own weight behind it.
I'm just excited for Sackboy. For Ratchet and Clank.
Ratchet and Clank is gonna be very
It's gonna
fun.
be so good.
I think it's gonna make really great use of
I wish it was a
controller.
launch title.
Yeah, but I get why it's not, cause like they're putting a lot of
I mean, it's
like
playable.
horsepower into that game.
It's gonna be huge. You already
The
know
loading
it's gonna be a
times.
long
I
ass
think
game.
that E3 demo was just to show how fast the PS5 can load things.
Yep.
And that wasn't even like the actual PS5. That was probably like a prototype.
Which is pretty.
They said, "Eong." You can kind of see some of that technology used in Asher's Playroom when you enter a world.
Yeah,
Because that little portal thing where he's like,
yeah,
it's kind of like what you're going to see in Ratchet and Clank. When you go,
yeah. That load time was crazy. I was
World into world into whole. Like,
I mean,
and
also,
it's not
like-
like little snippets. It's literally entire world generating in like split seconds and transitioning from one world to the other. Like you see the other load in at the same time.
I'm just glad we've reached this point in gaming because, like, man, the PS4 was struggling. Like, I'm glad people were releasing these big narrative games that they were humongous, but the load times that came with that, oh
Yeah.
my god.
And that the PS4 would just start dying.
Like, don't get me
Yeah.
wrong, the games released for the PS4, some of the greatest games, honestly, to grace gaming in these recent years, and I'm sorry, but you just can't deny that. But, like, the load times, though, like, I'm glad you're giving us these great narrative stories, but can you not make me
Yeah.
wait in a 30-minute load time?
like Spider-Man now is near perfect because like that was I think one of the bigger things.
Yeah.
Just like sometimes the load times would be like short and sometimes they would be long. And I'm like, but now like that's not an issue.
That's how 15 was. 15 would be like, you reach the new city? Alright, be prepared, 15 minutes load time.
15 was like when you wanted to use the fast travel.
It was so
Oh,
bad.
you had to sit there with, like, you'd wait 20 minutes.
Like sometimes
Like,
you would
yeah,
just
you had,
better
like,
off
5
just like
minutes.
manually traveling there because it would be
Exactly.
faster than waiting in that load time. Or like, what's another big game that I played?
Kingdom Hearts 3.
Kingdom Hearts 3 suffered
Kingdom
a
Hearts
lot.
3 like that was one of the worst parts of it was the load
You would get out of a
times.
world, you'd be like,
Yeah, you would sit there looking at the heart spin for like 5 like sincerely
and
like 2 minutes.
1.5,
almost.
2.5.
I'm excited to see
I think
how
chugged on a PS4.
I'm excited to see how 2.8 is gonna look.
Oh yeah, we could test that out after the podcast.
Yeah.
I want to show you guys what 15 looks like. It's so pretty.
I just like the idea that the PS5 is like can now like unlock frame rates for games. 'Cause, like a lot of the PS4's games were locked at like
But
behind
you know
30
what's
frames per
stupid?
second.
Bloodborne is capped at 50 frames.
Yeah, like yeah,
They were
what's
talking about that, and there's rumors that they're either gonna make A, Bloodborne remastered, or 2, they're making Bloodborne 2.
Yeah,
probably gonna
they're
Bloodborne
talking
too.
about they talk about that because Bloodborne is one of the few games that the PS5 doesn't unlock.
Yeah,
For some reason.
which is weird.
But they say that it might be why.
They say we want that shmoney.
But it's like I'm excited to like try out like when I get a PS5 eventually to like try out my PS4 games and be like, okay, how does Spider-Man?
Oh yeah, I
run?
tried Ratchet and Clank, the reboot. It so pretty.
I'm more like interested in like how it flows now, because like again, like unlocking games nearly doubling some FPSs. That's a big deal. That's a big deal. Like, I don't know.
All the platformers run super well.
As someone who plays on PC and literally like reads FPS counts, I can tell when a game is running like nicely and smooth and like running at like 40, 50 frames versus like 60 and like 120 FPS. It's a whole different world. It just feels so much smoother to
DVD
play.
runs at 70 frames. But then like when it lags it's like 60.
Yeah, there's frame drops and stuff
but
like that.
But that game also isn't well
It's not
optimized.
No.
So the fact that it is
They're trying,
at
though.
above 60 on a PS5 is like cool.
Oh yeah, I bet Dead by Daylight looks fucking beautiful
It's trying
now.
its best.
Especially with the new maps, since they're updating all the maps and stuff. And
I wonder how League is going to be playing on the PS5.
Oh, yeah.
Wild Rift.
That's very interesting. Yeah, like it's going to be interesting because like I think if it's optimized, like damn, it might run better on the PS5 than on like most people's gaming.
The rumble when you RE3. Pew.
I just think it'd be funny, like it might run that better than some people's gaming PCs run League right now. Like that.
Yeah.
That conceptually is just funny.
Because my laptop can run League at 60 frames, like minus people's ugly lag. So I imagine Wild Rift is gonna look really pretty. I'm excited for that. I'm excited for the new Horizon game. That's gonna look so pretty. Like when they showed Aloy going in the water, and there was fish.
You could always determine whether a game looks good by
That
its
was
water.
some good ass water. The fact that we've reached like water in gaming where like there's fish in it, and, like you can swim next to the fish, like that's so cool. I love Horizon Zero. Like I love the world that game takes place in. It is so cool. I love it so much.
Konami, if you're somehow listening to this,
The Konami PR team.
please make Metal Gear Solid 3 remastered
Yeah,
for the PS5.
I want 60 frames,
Like-
snake ass, like 60 frames.
The jungle would look so good. It would just be like it would be the best stealth game ever made.
I mean, it would just look like the multiplayer maps from 5.
A lot of people are
But
talking about
better.
Dishonored, how well that looks and runs on the
Who-
PS5.
Oh, Dishonored.
Dishonored 1?
Yeah, and
Okay.
2. There's a 2.
I know, but 2 is...
For some reason, I thought you were talking about that like medieval fighting game.
No!
Oh,
They-
for
That's For
For Honor. And I was like, ew, who plays For
that
Honor
game?
anymore?
People do play that game. But like Spyro Reignited, I want to see how that runs. Like that would be cool.
Oh yeah, I forgot the new Crash.
Crash 4, yeah.
Gotta play that.
I need to buy it. I'll
Is
probably
it
ask
out
for it
of-
for Christmas.
Is it out of time? Or
Yeah.
Oh, it's about time.
It's about
It's
time.
It's hard.
I've
But-
seen it. I was like, well,
I like platformers.
I'm excited. Oh, yeah, I'm excited. Like all the new platformers. that are
Pikmin
coming
game,
out.
weird Pikmin ghost game.
So
Oh
what
my
are
gosh,
launch
the
titles?
horror game.
Oh my, horror games
It's-
are gonna be so good
It's
now.
gonna be so spooky.
The tension's gonna be
Could
so
you imagine if you hear a
so
scream
much.
coming out of your controller?
Jump scare. That's gonna be scary because like if it's gonna be like
Vibrations
if it's gonna be a game where like you're
Oh
exploring
my
stuff
god,
and
Resident
like
Evil, the new
you're gonna,
Resident
you're gonna
Evil.
open doors and you have to like
Tension.
push on the
Oh,
door.
no.
and if there's something behind it
Yeah.
like pushing you or like you have to hold the monster back or something, that's gonna be
It's
intense.
gonna be like it's gonna be like a while to like game companies update their engines to run on a PS5 and Xbox One X.
Yeah.
Because you can tell with like the Kingdom Hearts shader, it's definitely made for a PS4. Like it looks good, but it's not optimized for like PS5. Like Resident Evil looks good, but like I don't know, that engine rubs me the wrong way. Like some of it kind of
It's the goop and stuff, all like the
it looks kind of
the
like
texturing.
PS4-y, you know? This is the best way to describe it.
PS4.
Like when I'm playing Horizon Zero Dawn, obviously it looks like a PS4 game. Like the way the realistic models are set, it's of that generation. Like how Until Dawn, like all the realism in that genre of like generation
It's
of
just
gaming.
like sweat and like pores. That's about it.
They tried, you know?
Yeah.
Like it looked good for the time, but like now it's like
It's like what is it, Mortal Kombat X?
Yeah.
Where it's like overly like greasy.
because I could really tell with like Miles Morales, like how
Greasy.
far we've gotten in making like realistic models look.
I think
Good.
Spider-Man was probably one of the peaks of the PS4's graphical engine.
Spider-Man, I'd say Ghost of Tsushima.
Because we're getting better at like making it look good. Because like when I was in Miles Morales, I was like, damn, these don't look like ugly PS4 models that just go hubbity hubbity. like especially in the mouths, like oh, like they'd be like, and then they would be like, like everything would look real except the mouth and hair and hair. Hair was rough.
An infamous remake on the PS5.
I think
With
that
the adaptive triggers,
I
the
think
charging
that,
of
I
lightning.
think that game's dead though. I think
That
that
would be
game
good.
is dead.
I know.
sadly.
But they
No,
could-
that company's not dead. They
They
made
could-
Ghost of Tsushima, and Ghost of
But
Tsushima
like
was a hit.
infamous though, I think it's kind of dead.
I think, but okay, here we
Literally,
go.
if
Hear
they
me
did
out,
a
hear me
remaster,
out,
you know how
hear me
many
out,
people
hear me
would
out.
buy it?
Marvel is like the biggest it's ever been. We've got The Boys showing that you can make like a gritty superhero story.
Cole is
So-
literally that.
I'm just
Gritty
saying,
superhero story.
if you were gonna reboot it, now's the
There
time.
was a reference to him in Astro's Playroom.
Of course. there is.
Exactly.
He's one
Yeah,
of the
Sony
big
said.
boys.
Sony said.
I'm just saying, like with the new controller,
Well,
like
I
you
love
could
it.
like feel like the electricity. Don't you just like feel like the electricity spread
yeah.
through the controller?
I would love a Gravity Rush game
Oh.
on the PS5.
You stuck in the electricity.
Gravity Rush would play so cool on the
Can we
PS5.
get a Patapon for PS5?
What would it do? You hear the beats coming out of
The
the controller.
controller is
That'd
the
be so
metronome.
cute. If you say like when you say pata, like it comes out of the controller.
Yeah.
That'd be so
Oh yeah,
cute.
no. Like instead of the metronome sound coming from the game, it comes from the
Just-
controller.
Yeah.
And it vibrates like to the center of the controller and it like sways.
Pata 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 pon.
Oh
And
man.
then, okay, so yeah, it'd be cool because like you'd hear like, because like you'd put the command in on the TV, you'd have them saying the command, and then because like with Patapon, it's just like Patapon, then there's like a drum break. So then the drum break would come through the controller because
Listen,
you are the god.
and you can
so.
add like, oh, the new gen, a new function.
And thing is too,
Yeah, like you can use the like the new adaptive triggers. If you like use one, you could like enhance, like you can literally enhance a command, and it'll like have a special effect on certain commands, but you can only do it once per battle. Like there's a lot that they can do with
the thing
Patapon
is too,
still.
like Patapon's a 2D game, and it's like, you know how cool it'd be to see like an area that you can walk on as if like a 3D realm Patapon where you actually lead an army.
I think
That
seeing
could
like
be interesting.
it'd be really cute if like every time you press pata or pon or chica or boom, like the controller like would change the
colors,
color.
yeah.
Yeah, that'd be really cute. It'd be like blue, red, green.
The vibrations would change depending on the drum
Yeah.
because they are
Yeah.
different drums. Oh,
That's why I'm excited for like games to, cause like now that the light isn't obnoxiously like kind of ugly, looks kind of better.
I know
now.
that they have a lot more creative freedom for the mini games.
Yeah.
They can do a lot more now. So I'm like, man, please. I just haven't seen anything made from the studio
But
that made
hey,
Patapon in a long
reference
time.
Patapon, Astro's Playroom. I got.
Bro, Yakuza made the mistake of releasing with Xbox, bro. They could have had adaptive triggers.
I'm sure the game will play nice.
Oh yeah, it's gonna play nice, but we just have to wait.
Well,
till
because
January.
cross-release games can still make use of Sony things. It just won't be on any other platform.
Well, no, it's a timed exclusive, so we have to wait till January to get.
That
Like,
is an
Dragon.
interesting thing to talk about. Games that use the adaptive triggers.
Yeah.
How are they gonna be compatible with PC and Xbox?
Well, I think it just won't be there. Like, it
But
doesn't.
like, what if it's a main function of the game? They're like, it's now it has to be a complete
Well,
Sony
most
exclusive.
of the things that are gonna use it like as the main gimmick will probably just be Sony exclusive.
Well, it's interesting. So like, if a game has ideas of utilizing that, they would have to bite the bullet and decide: do we want to be exclusive on one console and have our sales limited to one console, but we don't get to use the function? That's very interesting. Now that question has to be like rise in people in game developers' heads. That like, okay, do we sacrifice sales for the idea of using this concept? So it's just interesting because I don't think that's. I mean, 6-axis, I guess, but then they think most games gave up on using it. But now this is a real thing that game developers have to think about.
I think, in my opinion, like it'd be worth it. In my opinion, just like how immersive it feels.
I don't know, man.
Well, not the sales thing, but like just using them in general in the game.
I'm just saying, like, alienating it being on the PC is a big risk.
But
you're taking.
what I think is gonna happen is like, it's not gonna be like, you can't play the game without it.
Yeah, it's not gonna
I think
be
it's
that
gonna be
bad,
like
'cause you have Cold
Sackboy,
War,
like
Cold
how
War.
you know how in Sackboy, like it's not really like they're using parts of the controller, but it's not like you couldn't play it without it.
Yeah, what I think
I
they're
mean,
gonna do.
we couldn't because we tried to use the PS.
I mean that's just because Sony locked us out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What I think they're gonna do is just like, if they're gonna release a game for multiple consoles, they're gonna be like, oh yeah, there's gonna be this really small detail that like, oh, there's vibrations here for
It'll be like
PS5,
They already did.
but
That's Cold War.
Yeah.
Cold War released on every console.
So it won't be like.
And it's also previous.
It won't be like
gen.
a big thing. Like it won't be like, oh, you can't play the game without it. I'm sure exclusives will do that. Like God of War. God of War is never gonna not be on a Sony thing.
So I think God of War is probably gonna make heavy use of it, but we'll see.
But there also is an argument that there is a PlayStation exclusive mode in Cold War, but I don't know if it features like using the adaptive triggers and stuff. It's just like it's another portion of zombies where you can go on every multiplayer map and like make it a zombies map.
That's
and
cool.
it's like a quest and like you have to go around and survive, and it like actually unlocks more lore.
I think for me, like you'll see a bunch of games do that, like what Ding Dong said. Like it won't be like, unless it's like like God of War or like what's like I don't know like Jak and Daxter or like Ratchet and Clank, because those games will never be out not on a Sony platform, because they're very protective of their IPs. So it'll probably be like that. Like they'll use it a lot, but games that are be like cross-platform and be like there's a little rumble.
Yeah, they'll try to figure something out. If they can.
Yeah.
It's gonna be interesting seeing how new Sony IPs going forward are gonna take advantage of this hardware. Cause
I'm trying to think of what they have. Well,
Uncharted
from
feel hella good.
From what Sony's given me, in my mind's eye, I can see Sony relying on nostalgia a lot or bringing back old franchises, because they kind of started doing it with the end of the PS4's life cycle, with the beginning of the PS5. I think they're going to start doing that a lot more.
And they should, because it would sell. Like,
I mean, look at Ratchet and Clank.
It's been shown that like, people want
do
this
you
stuff.
guys want a Ratchet and Clank game? We were like, yes, please.
You want Crash Bandicoot? Yes, please. It's like,
and then they gave it to us, and we supported it, and they're like, all right, here, take continuation of the Ratchet and Clank story. Okay, bye. We were
finally, after
finally.
They made a new Crash Bandicoot game.
Exactly.
Crash Bandicoot.
And with new functions, but like that's like, I'm all for bringing back old IPs to introduce new functions, but then I want them to use these new functions for new IPs.
Yeah.
Like that's the proper transition, I think.
But I think Sony will do that, because we've already been seeing that they are.
Well, yeah, like I was super happy with like the showcase and how many new IPs are gonna be on the PS5.
And cool indie games.
So, you know how good Deathloop is gonna feel with all the vibrations and stuff, and the depth of triggers. Just like picking up people, the tension, and like the tension of the triggers and stuff.
See, that's why we
teleporting.
We need a new good Star Wars game.
Yeah, Battlefront 3.
Bro, can I get a
like
Star
a
Wars
new
Force Unleashed?
Oh, just don't let EA touch it.
Well, yes.
Well, okay, Battlefront 2 was good though. Not the release.
The beginning though, but that's all that matters.
Apparently, Rogue Squadron is pretty good.
It's just a dogfight simulator. That's kind of boring. I don't want to be in space all the time.
Because my thing is like the first release of a game is like the main thing of what people are gonna think.
Battlefront
like,
1 just died.
You can say how good 15 is now, but that's not how 15 released. Like, because I'm gonna tell you, 15's a good game now, but before it was not.
Everyone remembers games from their first.
Yeah, but even then, it still has its shortcomings.
But my thing is like, don't release a game that you're gonna finish over the course of 2 years.
I want to see less of that.
Yeah.
I
Because that was rampant in the PS4 era.
Most of my eyes are on Square, but you know, the other companies have done it too.
I would like COD. COD's been doing that all throughout the PS4 cycle. They're like, here's an unfinished game. And they literally found finished things on the disc, but they just refused to put in.
Literally every like.
Capcom did it too with Marvel vs. Capcom 3
and
Infinite.
No, we don't even speak of Infinite. Infinite doesn't exist in that community.
But my thing is like, why do I get why crunch time, but like, if you're gonna do it, like, please. Don't do it like
just
over
give yourself more time. You can literally tell
or delay a game.
Well, here's the thing. Like, I think, like upper level positions and like the sales teams are starting to learn that it does affect sales.
Yeah.
Like it does. So I think they
Kingdom Hearts 3.
You can't like industrialize that process. You
can't finish a game in the course of a year.
It's not like music. You can't just do spitting images and just throw it out and then have it do
as a player, as a consumer of video games.
Yeah, as a consumer, you're gonna take it and you're like,
so booty.
Man, it
like,
sucks.
Release 15,
like
I was like, this is an unfinished game, y'all.
Especially when the thing is like when you go as like a consumer, you go and you drop $60 on a brand new game. You pre-ordered it. Some people buy like the like enhanced
15
editions.
cost $60.
And you come home and you start playing it, and like you finally finish it, and you're like, man, I'm disappointed. And you're like,
my disappointment is immeasurable.
and my day is ruined.
My day is ruined.
So yeah, you gotta.
Spoilers for people who haven't finished 15. Me when Lady Luna Freya died. My disappointment, my day is ruined. My disappointment is immeasurable.
But yeah, there's
Okay, but
even
like-
Kingdom Hearts 3 did it too.
Yeah.
Side tangent. Square Enix did 15 so wrong. They're like, we're gonna make a universe, a cinematic universe. We're gonna make an anime that ties into this game.
A movie.
If you don't watch the anime, you're gonna miss out on story. If you don't watch the movie, gonna miss out on story.
They just hyped it up.
I'm just
Too
like,
much.
Well, that was the thing. Like the hype leading up, like everybody was hyped for it, and then
Yeah.
it finally came out.
and they did so
It
bad. Why would you put story in an anime that's
Okay,
gonna come out a
no.
year
Okay,
after?
first of all, let's talk about like the trailer that came out for 15
Originally?
showed stuff that was not in the original
Yeah.
game.
Or the
in
demo.
the actual game.
The
demo
demo
also it
with
showed
Young
you.
Noctis.
It showed you like the stuff in the trailer and in the demo showed you being in Insomnia, not in the game, not at all.
Not at all. Your dream friend doesn't show up.
Carbuncle,
He's in the tutorial.
gone.
He's in the tutorial and you never see him again. Never
See,
brought up.
Yeah, like the problem is like, I think I hope Square has learned that like, you just can't shift around positions that much.
Mhm.
I hope
And-
they learned
and
of
development,
16.
yeah.
Because, like,
It just doesn't make sense.
they
We've
showed
seen
us
it-
there, like, it exists, or it's not coming out for 2 more years, but it exists. And I'm like, thank you, Square. Because if that was 15, they would have been like, trailer comes out next year. Would have been buoy. Thank you.
Like, it just makes sense. We've already seen it with Star Wars. You cannot change directors. It just doesn't work.
My
It
thing-
does not work.
Like, besides the Nomura shenanigans, like, without Versus 13 being a thing that affected 15, if they just waited a year and, like,
no.
had Episode Gladio, Ignis, and Prompto in the game, plus Arden, and fleshed out Lady Luna Freya's character so much more, it would have been better.
The thing is, and I've said it before, Final Fantasy 15 should have been one of the greatest games ever made.
Exactly.
And it had the potential, but they just rushed it. And it's stupid.
And Final Fantasy VII Remake shows it.
Yeah, it shows like, oh hey, no, we
What
can
could
take
have
this,
been.
and we made it
Yeah.
decent.
You know, people can say what they want about how they feel about the story of remake and what they're trying to change. As a game,
As a Square
as a
Enix
Square
game
gaming
player,
that was one of that was
it revitalized my
no,
hope
like that was one of Square Enix's best games. Honestly,
in the past, like,
you know, like
4 years.
Honestly,
yes.
it wasn't a perfect game. Like the air combat was ass, and like the
There was
loading-
definitely some combat issues.
yeah,
too.
there's some combat issues and the texture issues. But as a package, that was
It
one
was
of
good.
Square's. That was one of Square's home runs.
And they didn't have to finish it over a course of a
Yeah,
year.
and because they said we're gonna do episodic, and I'm glad they chose that because it's just
Yeah.
we're not gonna be able to finish this whole game
Could you
at
imagine,
once,
though?
so we're gonna split it up, and it's like
they
okay,
can
cool.
take their time. They can sell.
They
the
can
product
learn
to the
from what
consumer,
people don't like
and they
about
get
the first
feedback,
Exactly.
and then they
Yeah.
can learn from it and improve upon.
Which I
it.
hope they do, because oof.
They
Yes.
are. They're not just gonna be like, okay, nope.
People need to understand that like you shouldn't look at it as you're paying for a game. You're paying for the content. And if you want to pay for the game but get less content, then you can't be disappointed. But if you want all of the content, well guess what? You're going to have to buy multiple installations. And in essence, like Final Fantasy VII Remake is a game. The story,
it's fully
yeah.
fleshed out. Like it in its own is a giant chapter.
You could
It's
only play that
part
game.
one.
And
Yeah.
you would still be satisfied.
Listen,
It's
Final
long
Fantasy
enough.
VII, the original, was as big as it was because it was a simple game.
Yeah.
Let's be real. Like texture-wise, like NPC-wise, combat-wise,
Keep
it was
in
a
mind-
simple concept.
Keep in mind it was 3 discs on the PS1, so it was
It's
still
also
like it was
on the
big,
PS1.
but
Yeah, they still had to do that.
yeah.
But at the end of the day, it was very simple. That's why it could be one game and one purchase. You can't have the quality of what you want nowadays
And
and have the same amount of content. That's
Also,
the
like,
thing that people need to understand.
the
And I'm not-
genre
yeah,
switching from an RPG to an action RPG.
there's just more content.
Very different.
You have
way.
3D rendering now. You have physics.
There's combos.
You have light effects.
You
and
can control
particles.
every character.
You have every character to control now.
You have to fully
freely.
flesh out. Yeah, you have to fully flesh out
You have to
environments.
animate all the combos, all the magic, all the summons, all the monsters, all the moves,
All the interactions.
all the
Yeah.
interactions, all this new
So let me tell
and
you,
old side
I cared more about
quests.
them NPCs in Remake than I ever did in playing
Yeah.
Original 7. And you can debate that
Yeah.
with me, but like, I'm sorry. it's
Listen,
the
you
truth.
can call me a shill, you can call me a sellout, you can call me I'm part of the problem, but I'm happy with the amount of content I get. That when I paid for Remake Part 1.
It's a big game.
Yeah, we can agree to disagree if you don't believe in the episodic style. If I'm getting the amount of content that I'm getting, and I'm gonna get it in multiple installments, I'm okay with that, dude. Like, I don't know, man. It's just, listen, like, are you gonna be mad when, you had to buy two, like, Ratchet and Clank, Future and Ratchet and Clank, A Crack in Time? Oh, but it's one big story, so why wasn't it in one game? Like, you have to, it's, I know we're doing the straw man fallacy, but, like, it's similar. Like, I get it, it's one big story, but, like, sometimes you're not gonna get all of it at once.
But also, you can't. Sometimes your narrative can't fit in a single.
That's what I'm saying.
Because
yeah.
the era we are in gaming, it just doesn't like work like that.
Yeah, I would feel different if the story was told like a 1-1, like exactly how it was in the original Final Fantasy VII. Yeah, I'd be bad because it's not fleshed out. There's not a lot there. Like, let's be real. But like the amount that they're fleshing out side characters, side missions, just the world itself,
Yeah.
it makes sense. I'm
Wall
okay.
Market looked so pretty.
Wall Market alone, like, made that game worth it being episodic. I don't know, but that's my opinion. I need people to have a more open mind, like, to understand that, like, you're paying for what you're getting. You can't expect a 5-course meal but pay for an appetizer. Like,
Yeah,
I think like
Not every game can be The Last
Could
of
you
Us.
imagine
Yeah.
if people brought that argument to like books? And, like
Okay,
Aragon?
hold on. Let's take that back to Last of Us. Last of Us gameplay is boring as fuck.
Yeah.
You
It's
can
a
fight me on
story-based
that,
game.
but like the story is fantastic. The gameplay, you play through that game once, you have
You're
to
good.
let it sit for like a year before you can come back to it, or else you're just gonna be bored of the gameplay.
But my thing is, like, not every game is gonna be the next Last of Us, though.
Mhm.
The Last of Us was like, whoa.
It was a 1 in a million.
Yeah, like, you can. This is a narrative that, like, we've never seen.
And no, we're not talking
before.
about Last of Us 2 included.
Yeah.
It can go bye-bye.
That was. Yo, that game was.
It's just like,
something
if you
else.
want a story as big as Final Fantasy VII's was, fleshed out, adding in new things, you can't expect it to be one game. Like, you just can't. It just wouldn't make any sense. You would have to sacrifice a lot of things. And I don't think. And the thing is, people are always going on and on and on about, oh, Square always cuts corners. They always this and this and that. Now that they don't do it, you're mad. It's like, you have to choose one. Do you want it to have a fully fleshed out story and new fully fleshed out gameplay? Like, do you can't choose. If you want both, it's gonna have to be episodic. If you want one or the other, then yeah. If you choose, then yes, you can have it in one game.
Yeah.
Like I said,
Yeah.
like, just imagine, like, doing that to a book series, like Aragon, or it's like, man, I don't want to have to pay for each individual
Or
book.
Percy
I just want one
Jackson.
giant book that's like
Could
20,000
you
pages
imagine
long.
a giant Percy
Yeah.
Jackson book? You just.
But like, it's
Yeah.
written in like first grade level, so it's all just like really easy to read and boring.
Yeah, because you're not gonna read 1,000 pages.
Exactly.
You're not gonna read like 1,000 pages.
That and they don't
H.P.
take their
Lovecraft
time,
book.
so it's all just like
Exactly,
like first
they
grade
just rushed
level.
it out.
But I also think it's like plays into the thing that
you
like,
want
people,
quality, so
people
quality
view
takes
games
time.
differently than like people would view art in general, like as a medium, because games is still going through like its phase where it's like, I'm not a game, I'm art, you know, because people are still like, oh, it's a
Oh,
game,
yeah.
it's
Oh.
a game, son.
See, yeah, like, I know a lot of people will disagree with me on this. I do believe that a video game is an experience. It's
I agree.
It's not just a. There are games where it's just pick up play. There are games for that. There are battle royales for that. There are Rocket Leagues for that. There are things for that. I just don't think that's what they are now. I think they've evolved into something more But there are still games to scratch that itch if you want.
Of a pickup, like you're
Yes,
bored,
yeah.
pick up, turn it on, play.
There's
turn off your
simple
brain.
games, but there are just more games on the other side now. Granted, there are a lot more platformers coming out, and they're kind of filling that side too.
But like they can still be art.
They're a mix of like
Because
it's story, but it
is
also
art.
something.
Like the aesthetic maintained, the universe maintained.
I just think like if you want a good fleshed out experience, sometimes you have to be willing to suck it up and be in it for the long haul and be in it for multiple games. If you don't care about the narrative, then don't buy the rest of the games. You have that choice. But if you want to see your favorite places fleshed out in a new way and new like old characters brought back to life and like just the best characterization you've ever wanted, it takes time. You can't just like I don't know like Final Fantasy VII Remake is like hours long, like hours and hours and hours and hours of content. I don't know if like just $70 is gonna be like worth that multiplied by 4. Like come on, I don't know like that.
Like Red Dead, where it's just really long game, but
Oh.
there's no content.
No offense to people like Red Dead 2. No.
The story's good. It's just there's no gameplay.
Should not have won best OST of the year.
There's no gameplay. I'm sorry to
I'm
break
sorry.
it to you,
EE music, you know, barely
that's
EE music.
gameplay.
That's my issue with Rockstar is like they do.
but it's just R2L2.
Okay, no offense to people like Rockstar games, but
R2L2.
like their games are so simple that when they change one thing in their like formula, people are like, it's game changing.
Yeah. Okay, so GTA 5 multiplayer, great. If you're playing with your friends, you're hanging out with your buddies, you're making like racetracks or whatever. That's cool. That's fine. The writing for the story of GTA 5, it's good. It's a good story. The writing for Red Dead Redemption 2,
No, the
it's a good
story's not
story.
good. Literally, Trevor carries everything. He's the only
But
interesting.
let's have a
character.
conversation. Does GTA 5 need to be on the PS5?
No,
No.
they're
Exactly.
just lazy.
It's a
Okay,
PS3 game.
But the gameplay for those games is so like
Formulaic.
One note.
there's a difference between like because there are people like, oh yeah, you know, like with Fallout, Elder
Bethesda.
Scrolls. So between like Bethesda games and Rockstar games, people will argue like, oh, the fun of it is like creating the experience,
the world building.
right? And like you get to create that experience on your own. But for me, whenever I play those games, it's like, yeah, I understand that, but actually playing the game is boring because it's just like with Skyrim, it's just / spells. With Fallout, it's just lock on, select the body part,
granted,
shoot.
people like that.
Yeah, if you like that, that's cool. But for me, it's boring, and I think they shouldn't be as popular as they are. As somebody who's been playing, you know, video games for my entire life, but yeah, I would like to see
Especially when
more
Saints
gameplay
Row
focus.
exists.
Yeah, like Saints Row was like fun to play,
Hell
even
yeah.
though it was like the same gameplay at its core, but it was just more entertaining. I don't know
More
what it was.
entertaining.
I mean,
there was more
it lost
story
the
elements.
GTA though,
Or like,
sadly.
you know, you have Yakuza, which again is like the same.
It's breaking. It's finally breaking. It's
The
getting
leaves
its
are
thing.
rising.
It's like that same environment of like, oh, the gang story, the gang life.
Oh, it does it 12 million times better. As someone, I've literally played through a single Yakuza, and it's better than like the entirety.
the
Of
game.
GTA.
The gang
The
life.
only thing like GTA that's like that could compete is either like 4 and San Andreas, and that's it.
I don't know. Those games just scream PS3, Xbox 360 era to me.
Yeah, just
They were revolutionary for that era of gaming.
really big game.
But,
wow.
like, to like Rockstar be doing this for like every game they
Yeah,
ever
that's what gets me is like
released.
every game from like Bethesda.
GTA
every
3
game
to
from
GTA
Rockstar
5 has
feels
not
the same.
changed.
I mean, like granted, you can look at like how Fallout,
Well, like,
Fallout
they're
76.
Yeah,
came
Fallout is
out.
finally getting some backlash because people realize like it's just the same game every
Granted,
time.
I will like say like yeah, Fallout 76 just also didn't deliver on what it promised.
Yeah,
yeah, but this is being
But
shady.
I do believe that part of it is that the formula has run its course.
but like it's also weird because
you know?
Bethesda also makes stuff like Dishonored
in Portal.
and Portal, and like that stuff isn't that Valve?
Oh, that is valid.
It's
Valve.
But like yeah, but like Dishonored, I'm sure there's other stuff too. I just don't
And
remember.
we know about Dishonored.
Dishonored is
Dishonored
fun.
1, nice.
What else
Dishonored
is
2,
Bethesda make?
no one knows about it.
Fable, right?
No,
Fable?
aren't they? No, they're making
They're making
Deathloop. Yeah.
yeah.
So
Oh, yeah.
they can make like good gameplay games. So it's like, why is Skyrim
I think like
and
Fallout 76
so
was like
basic?
their big
Yeah.
shell out energy was going on over
I
there.
mean, how many times did Skyrim get re-released?
A bajunch.
Watch
But
it get
people
really
play
watch
it.
it.
Alright,
It'll be
let's
on the
see. We've
PS5.
had it on the PS3. We've had it on the
It's
PS4.
gonna be on the PS5.
We had it.
On
We're
PC.
probably gonna get it on PS5. It's on PC.
It's on the Switch.
It's on the Switch.
Bro, it barely
It's
runs on the Switch.
Xboxes.
The Switch version.
Like,
chugs.
it's just time to make a new game. I don't see any problem with like, okay,
And just
Let's make
add
another
some
story.
more to
or
it.
remake it. Do something.
Like,
Remaster
Keep
it.
keep in mind that we're not trying to take away from anyone's experiences.
Yeah, if you
of
like
those
Yeah.
Skyrim,
games,
I
and,
love
like,
that for you.
because the like
Fusro Dodemo.
yeah, like
Exactly.
I will say like the experience is what you make of it
Yeah.
with those games, and it could be great, you know. Like, but the thing is, you have to be able to look at the flaws and criticize what you love. We can sit here for like hours and hours talking about how Kingdom Hearts has a lot wrong with it, like a lot.
But like I
But
still
we love
it.
it,
At the
like,
end of the day.
and
it's
like-
a thing.
and thing is too, like you can't sit here and like act like everything's perfect, because if you do that, then the game's just gonna get boring over time. So if you claim the
Also,
flaws,
Criticizing games is what makes better games.
Exactly.
So if you
Yes.
criticize it, the company's gonna be like, oh wait, we can't just do this
Yeah.
anymore,
If
and
you
then you
don't
get
let-
yourself a better game, which you're
Don't
gonna
let
find
Bethesda
new
release
love
you
for.
Fallout like 5 times, but just rename it.
Let's
Like, could
okay.
you-
Don't get it twisted. That is very different than empty criticizing
Yeah,
because of
don't
how you
just-
feel.
Yeah.
It's
Exactly.
very very different. You know, not
It has to be
Smoke
like
snacks,
actual
bro.
issues.
Final
like-
Fantasy VII remake.
You know, it
That's
has to be like
that is okay.
It has to be like, actual gameplay issues, like, oh, this is boring. I wish it was more like this. You know, it'd be a lot more fun.
I'm gonna be
this
real
way.
with you. Remake combat not perfect. That's
Exactly.
okay. I still
But
love
it was a step in the right
Yes.
direction from 15.
But feeling a certain way about going into a different direction.
Yeah, you can
or what
dislike
they
the
added,
story,
yeah, and that's fine.
but it's not like it's not a bad game.
It's
Yeah.
not, it's not your
I've played
personal
bad
story
games.
that you made, so.
I've played backyard baseball now. Come on, now. I played over the head on the PS2. I've played a bad game.
Like, if you want to learn what boring gameplay is, go play
Go play any licensed
go play
yeah.
Sword Art Online.
Go play Frozen Fever, bro. That's a boring
Yeah.
game.
Wow,
Yeah.
we're back to our roots, bro.
You guys remember when they used to make those licensed games?
Yes, they're so bad.
Some of them were fun.
We need to have an episode about licensed.
Yeah, we'll have an episode about licensed games, but
Friday the 13th?
Yeah.
Huh?
I don't know. I think as collective gamers, tenants and gamers are gamers, those you know. But I think as gamers, like we've been around the bush for a while. We've seen a lot of bad things.
we've been around the bush, we've pissed in the bush, we've lived in the bush. Like,
Yeah. We were
Trimmed
here
the
before
bush.
gaming was cool.
Alright, look, I've played through all the Soul series, and I can confidently say that 2 has the best gameplay.
Like
3 is boring, and 1 is beautiful.
I love the games I like. I love Kirby games, but I'm not gonna sit here and tell you.
they're the greatest games of all time.
Let me tell you, I did not
You
like
have
Kirby
to like it,
Robot.
they're so
It was
good.
ass. Like, I love gaming. I don't like every game that exists. I hate shooters. I still respect them.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna diss
Man,
on
play
people who like
Overwatch,
shooters, but that's different because I didn't play.
You played Mercy, that's
exactly. I like
That's
shooters
not
that give me
shooting.
options to not just play assault rifle.
Yeah, come on, let's bring back 007 Nightfire.
Exactly. But like that's my thing. Like I don't dislike shooters. I'm not gonna say I would never enjoy one because that's what I said with like open world games. I was like I'll never play an open world game and enjoy it. But I liked Breath of the Wild and I liked Horizon Zero Dawn. I don't like everything in that genre.
That's okay.
And that's okay.
It can't be the classic copy paste
Exactly.
style. It has to be
And you know
unique.
what? Yeah, like we just like the end of the day, they need to take away from this. Well, okay, you don't have to take anything away from this. That's your choice. But
Yeah.
if you're gonna take anything away from this, have your opinion. Have
It's
your
also-
own opinion. Live with it. Love it. But don't try to force it on anyone else.
Also, it's
That's
okay
it.
to like what you like and don't let people take that away from you.
Yeah.
Exactly.
like
but
what you like,
yeah, just don't force
play what you
anyone
like.
else to like feel that.
Because
Way.
that's very rampant in the gaming community.
Oh yeah.
People are just like, you play Valorant, your ass, bro. Or like, you play like Overwatch, it's just like,
You're not a gamer.
it's like, just let people enjoy video games. Because at the end of the day,
Yeah.
these are things meant to for
Entertaining.
people to enjoy.
Yeah, like just because this a game is like close to home, like close to your heart, like it defined your childhood or this or that, doesn't mean that game is your experience alone. You have to remember that other people are gonna experience that game differently. You have to take that. Like, it is what it is. Like I know I keep coming back to Final Fantasy VII, but like, you just have to understand that, like, you know, people change, times change, and writing changes, and you can't be afraid of change, especially when the changes haven't, like, cold turkey happened yet, and you haven't seen what they could breed. You know, you could say, oh, like, but in the past I've seen this or that happen, but we're not experts. Like, we don't know. I mean, we can't say for sure.
Spoiler for Final Fantasy VII Remake, you know, skip forward a minute. But, like, if they bring back Zack, which, you know, is gonna happen, but, like, we don't know how that's gonna affect the story in a major way. They could just be like, he's alive, goodbye, if they really wanted to. Or they could be like, alternate timeline, okay, bye, never touched it again.
The thing is, like, I doubt that they're gonna take, like,
I mean,
people are afraid that these changes are like, oh, I'm not gonna see this and that, and I think they're obviously gonna hit all of the major beats of the original
stuff to it.
Yeah, they're not. They would be stupid not to hit all of the major beats and show them in this experience and showing them in a new, fresh, 3D, amazing way. Like, of course, like, you're not gonna. People are like, oh, you know, what if they don't go to Junon the same way or this or that? I just don't believe they would do that.
I mean, say what you want about Nomura, but that man knows how to give fan service.
That's true.
Yeah, you know, I don't believe that people's fears are warranted. I don't believe that, like, they're gonna remove what they think they're gonna remove just by going in a different direction writing wise. I think they will hit everything they need to hit, and you will get to experience the things from the original that you loved in HD. I do think that's gonna happen.
Yeah,
You know,
I agree.
wow, this is crazy. This is the kind of stuff we talked about in, like, our first few episodes of the podcast. We're going back to the roots, the original that ain't meta.
Well, because
Okay.
gaming is like it is who we are.
Yeah. Well, let's move on to PS5.
Yeah.
Do you think they're gonna start with these new consoles? Do you think they're gonna start turning into a more, like, media-centric platform? Like,
I mean, you can
Like what
obviously
Xbox has done?
games- Yeah, because, like, they have the ability to do it more efficiently now. To be
With
able to
what?
just have, like, streaming, like TV
Oh.
streaming apps. Like, Sony could make its own PlayStation TV app.
that
It
exists.
has a TV.
Yeah,
app.
it exists.
Does it?
There's
Yeah.
there's
Literally a
there's
whole thing
PlayStation Now or
dedicated
whatever.
to it.
They started on PS4. They had, like,
Yeah, PlayStation TV. It's
It
what it's
wasn't-
called.
Oh, that's
Like-
a thing?
Yeah.
and it had its own, like, IPs, and
Yeah.
they didn't do great, but
Well, like, now they have the potential to, like, sit there, use their budget and make just, like, imagine they could make, like, interactive, like, shows on that app with the, like, haptic feedback controller.
Bandersnatch.
That could be
Oh,
interesting.
it could just be like Until Dawn, but it'd be like a TV series where it's
Exactly.
actual live actors and stuff.
Bandersnatch.
I think, like, they could.
That'd be really
Sony and Microsoft could definitely take a note out of Nintendo's book at, like, how much they interact with its community. Like,
Yeah.
I mean,
Like, you know, like,
sometimes good, sometimes
good,
bad.
sometimes bad, but the amount of interaction,
Yeah.
like showcases and like the news feeds and, like, the different, like Nintendo Directs and, like, this constant update kind of style. I feel like Sony could definitely, for
Oh, yeah.
sure, benefit from, like,
Like-
just getting more involved.
It exists in the
community.
PS5. There's a news section now.
Well, yeah,
Beautiful.
that's good, but, like, it'd be awesome to have, like, Sony Directs. What's happening? What's changing? What's
Yeah.
updating in new games?
That'd be
What's
better.
I think that, like, Nintendo, that is a very good thing that has worked, and I think it should never go.
Sony has started doing that now with the video. What is it called? Like Sony View or
Oh,
something?
yeah.
Like View at a Glance or something, or like Play Week or whatever. Like they start releasing games, which I think is a healthier way to, like, release things because it keeps hype, like,
That-
sufficient
and it
throughout
keeps
the
everyone
year.
informed that, like, you're trying to target to, because sometimes
Yeah.
you just don't know.
Instead
when
of
games
having to
are
wait
coming
till
out and stuff.
E3.
Yeah, like,
Exactly.
it just, that's why, but I just think that's why Nintendo has succeeded for so long.
I mean, we can talk
as
about why
how it's-
Nintendo
keeps
succeeded
you-
without having, like, graphics. 'Cause I've been here for a while, y'all.
Like,
So-
it keeps you informed so you know when a game's
It's-
coming.
it's
so you
also,
can
like,
save and whatnot.
Nintendo knows how to use their IPs in my opinion,
Yeah.
they're the company that like uses their IPs the
The
most.
best.
Because
Yeah.
let's be real here, Nintendo, if they had no Mario, if they had no Zelda, if they had no anything,
That console
there would be
would-
no
it would be
reason to buy
dead.
a Switch.
It would be dead because Nintendo is an IP machine.
Yeah. And they're an innovation machine. I will
Yeah.
give them that. They know how to
Labo.
innovate.
But the thing like about Nintendo is like they're not just a gaming company. Like they don't just make games
They're a
that look
multimedia
good.
company.
Yeah, they do more than just make games that look pretty.
And I think like Sony I think Microsoft definitely has that like the ability, but Sony now with the impact that the PS5 has had, with the amount of people that want it, the amount of people that are gonna have it,
And,
this is definitely the time.
and don't forget that Sony is still a technology company outside of consoles.
They do
still
more,
make
yeah.
headphones.
Yeah.
They still make TVs.
Phones.
They still make phones.
They own arcades in Japan.
Exactly. So they have the budget. The budget is there to do.
And there are
things.
also
Yeah.
another IP machine.
I think it's just
Yeah.
They make their own music.
it's
That-
worth
that's
it to
true.
try and emulate Nintendo
Miles
in certain
Morales.
areas, you know.
The movie.
I think they're
Sony.
starting to do that now because you can see it with like
Yeah.
Sackboy, Astro's Playroom. I mean, they're starting to make more use of the
Yeah.
IPs they have, like they did with the PS2.
You
and
could
the
say
PS1.
that like Nintendo's rode its IPs, but like the gameplay has never shirked.
And the
Like,
games are always
yeah.
good.
They never
That's what
fuck
I'm
up a
saying.
Zelda game. Well, besides
You know, like
Skyward
and granted,
Sword.
granted, like Nintendo ain't perfect. Let's be real about
Yeah,
that.
they're
I think
really
they are.
weird.
Yeah.
With their community sometimes, like what they did to Melee,
Yeah.
like 2 days ago.
Oh,
They
yeah.
canceled the tournament.
Oh.
Yeah. And they gave a cease and desist.
Oh. Wait, hold on. Let's come back to that. It's 2020 now, right? We've seen, in terms of esports is getting ever increasingly popular. We're seeing League of Legends
On
like
ESPN.
finals tournaments in like Buffalo Wild
That's
Wings.
crazy.
Okay, so
Oh, you should have seen it when me and Avocado came and went to World of Beer to hang out with some friends. They were showcasing Rocket League.
Yeah.
okay, exactly. So like we've seen the companies that make these competitive games, we've seen those companies like sponsor their stuff and show support for competitive communities.
Yeah, Buffalo Wild Wings had that League of Legends thing.
Exactly. I want to see Sony, Microsoft, possibly Nintendo. I know Nintendo
It's
and
definitely
Smash
iffy about
is,
it.
Ugh.
but Sony and Microsoft definitely. I want to see them.
Yeah,
I
they,
want.
like,
I want to
big
see
there.
official Sony tournaments for like Street Fighter, Tekken, Rocket
They
League,
can
Call
afford
of
to
Duty,
do
What's the game coming out soon by Arc System?
Guilty Gear.
Guilty Gear.
I want to see like Sony and Microsoft sponsored tournaments. I want to see like have like news feeds of like, oh hey, there's an online tournament for this fighting game that I see you played.
Like what was it? I think it was like called like Tournament Cup section.
Yeah,
Yeah.
But like
Yeah.
more out there, not just like it's
A
just a really
subsection,
like
communities.
tiny.
Yeah. I want to see that side of gaming. I want that expanded more upon.
We can expand upon that next episode definitely about like how companies can benefit their gaming communities because of how big gaming has gotten,
Yeah.
and how like the toxicity of the different situations that cause certain things in the community. We can definitely expand upon all that in the next episode, so you guys have something to look forward to.
I'll write
Yeah.
that down.
But yeah, like, comment, subscribe. Please, just remember that if you're listening, we're listening to you too. So like, just let us know like if we're doing good, if we're doing bad. Like, just what do you want to hear? What do you want to see? You know, that's all we ask. And if you stuck around to the end, thanks. You know, we do really
We love
appreciate.
you, BB.
We do really appreciate it. So, but yeah, you know.
Like, comment, and subscribe. Let's sell us
Oh,
stuff.
and tell us your favorite game on the PS5.
So
or just
far.
a game in general.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tell us about your gaming experience.
What do you
What
love
made
about
you a
games?
gamer?
Yeah.
I already know a whole bunch of people are gonna put V8 micro racers.
Oh no.
Yeah, bro. But alright, guys. Signing off.
Bye-bye.
Get back!